right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
Before Nolan Wells was ever found, there was a call. Around 4 p.m. on July 4th, 2026, someone on the boat phoned Cito. It was taking on water. That call was later released publicly.
Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right, it looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right. Is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We were sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
And his family brought in independent audio specialists to review it. What they heard raised more questions than it answered. Because the man at the center of that call never came home. He went to a remote island with friends. Only 3 of them came back on the boat. He never did. 2 days later, he was found dead on that same shoreline. The state autopsy that's supposed to explain how is still sealed. The family's own independent autopsy came back with one word: undetermined. This is Horn Island, 10 miles off the Mississippi coast, uninhabited, reachable only by boat. And somewhere in a 6-hour window on this island, the last confirmed facts of Nolan Wells' life run out. Nolan Xavier Wells was 18, a 2025 graduate of Ocean Springs High School, playing wide receiver at Southwest Mississippi Community College. According to his father, he was preparing to head back for training after the holiday weekend. On July 4th, he and a group of friends took a boat out to Horn Island. By a later independent reconstruction, built from photos and GPS data, not an official police record, the group arrived around 11 a.m. By mid-afternoon, the boat was in trouble. Wells was not. Here is the discrepancy this case turns on. Sheriff John Ledbetter's account. Wells was last seen around 3 p.m., choosing to stay behind, expecting another ride. The independent reconstruction, the last corroborated sighting, falls somewhere in a broader window, 3:23 to 4:27 p.m. Not a rounding error. A window investigators still haven't closed. At around 4 p.m., someone on the boat called Cito. It was taking on water. And that call matters now more for what it doesn't explain than for what it does. It's one of the few things in this case with a confirmed timestamp. But everything around it refuses to line up. The call places the boat on the water that afternoon. The accounts of when Nolan was last seen do not. One account says 3 p.m., another points to a window between 3:23 and 4:27. Neither matches the call or each other. The audio answers one question and opens another. Around 4:30, the boat left without him. And here the accounts split again. One version, attributed to his friend Warren Hudson, says Wells chose to stay, last seen with a young woman identified in media reports as Katie McCormick. A second, attributed to McCormick, reportedly says Wells intended to leave with the group. Neither version has been confirmed in a released police report. Both remain accounts, not findings. By late that night, Wells hadn't come home. His mother, Christine Wansley, called the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. He was reported missing July 5th. A search launched. The Sheriff's Office, the Coast Guard, volunteer search teams. His description went out. 18, black, 6'1", 180 pounds, blue swim trunks, no shirt, sunglasses. On July 6th, around 8:45 a.m., a body was found near the island's northwestern tip. No obvious signs of trauma, authorities said. No official cause of death. The word drowning entered the conversation early, but only as a possibility, never as a finding. The next day, dental records confirmed it was Nolan Wells. The 3 o'clock account and the 3:23 to 4:27 window. That gap didn't close with the discovery of his body. It just got harder to ignore. The family retained civil rights attorney Ben Crump, and within days announced they were commissioning an independent autopsy. The state's official one still hadn't surfaced. Their legal team subpoenaed records from Meta, Snapchat, TikTok, and Life360, chasing anything that might narrow that afternoon gap. By July 14th, roughly 60 witnesses had been interviewed, including the 3 friends who were on the boat. The FBI began assisting with digital evidence. On July 20th, the family buried him. A $100,000 reward was announced for information leading to an arrest. There was no one to arrest. There still isn't. 9 days later, false claims spread online that Warren Hudson had been arrested. He hadn't. He has not been named a suspect. The 3 friends on the boat were interviewed, not charged. McCormick's account remains attributed, not confirmed by any released record. As of today, no one has been publicly named a suspect in Nolan Wells' death. What has happened? 3 people have been federally charged, not over Wells's death, but over threats made around the investigation. A threat against a witness's family, an alleged bomb threat against local offices, a threat against a judge tied to the case. The unresolved timeline didn't just fail to produce a suspect, it produced its own set of casualties. On July 22nd, the family's independent autopsy returned, undetermined. The pathologist could not say whether Wells was conscious when he entered the water, and could not rule out non-accidental factors, nor confirm an accident. The state's official autopsy was completed around the same time. It remains sealed, expected to stay that way until a grand jury reviews it. That's the next official step. Prosecutors have said the evidence will go to the grand jury once the investigation concludes. What remains open? The exact last sighting of Nolan Wells. Whether he stayed behind or was left behind. Why the 3 p.m. account and the 3:23 to 4:27 window don't match. What the full CITO recording shows. Whether his phone was recovered. What the sealed autopsy and toxicology results say. And whether a grand jury finds evidence of a crime. Or whether this stays classified as an undetermined death. In early August, an independent 22-page report compiled public photos, GPS data, and submitted tips into the most detailed public timeline available. It documents the gap. It does not close it. Nolan Wells went to Horn Island with friends for a holiday. He didn't come back on the boat. 2 days later, the island returned him, but not an explanation. No arrest, no official cause of death. 2 accounts of his final hour that still don't agree. A family holding an inconclusive private autopsy while the state's report stays sealed, and a grand jury still ahead. The 6-hour gap between 3 p.m. and 4:27 is the question this case still hasn't answered. What do you think happened in that window? Leave your theory in the comments below.